All right, welcome to the Generalist.
This isn't going to happen, is it?
I'm just going to let you know. I was going to let you know right now. I know these people have no idea who I am. I did not consent to this being recorded. I'm just gonna say that on the front end.
Awesome. So, welcome to the Generalist Father podcast. This is a very special episode where we are going to be talking about culture and reviewing it, movies, music, TV shows, and such. I've got two special guests. One is named Nate Hughes.
Did you say sex or such?
Such.
Okay.
But we can review that as well if you need to.
Yeah, just maybe you just have Nate on that episode. I'll dip out on that.
All right. So I got Nate Hughes with me here. I want him to give a brief overview or brief statement about who he is. And then I got Tony Sorcy here. Both are friends for years for me and guys I respect and love, and guys who have kept up a lot more on culture than I have. The whole premise of this is that I'm 45 and my music is still what I've been listening to since I was 20. And my wife makes fun of me. So I need to get more cultured, boys. So here we go. And I've watched some of these shows, but not many. I cannot say like even 25%.
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, Jill does not get a pass because the only music that she and I talk about is like Operation Ivy, and then that's it. So it's not like she's sending me like a bunch of
forward. She presses into tons of new music, and I do not. But
her new stuff she likes sucks.
Well, that's
bad.
That's your opinion.
That's
she's
going to
be real bad.
Keep that for the Generalist Mother podcast.
There you go. She can beat you up, Tony. So you're gonna pay for that.
Well, yeah, because I'm not fighting back. Jill knows I love her.
There you go. So, Nate, who are you? Tell us a little something.
Yeah. My name's Nate. I met Travis when he was the lead singer of Dry Bone Kingdom. I don't know how old he was, 20 years old. I have
DBK.
DBK. I have a wife, Emily. 3 kids. Titus is 11. Drexler is 9.
Love that name, Drexler.
Yeah, man. I'm from
That's
Oregon.
awesome.
That doesn't give it away.
Well, I'm from Chicago. We beat you in 92. It's all good.
I know. I was in junior high. It was very sad.
And then, I was in junior high too. It was very exciting.
Nice. And then I have a daughter, Mila. She's 5. I do nonprofit work. I love it. It's a really sweet organization called One Mission. And I don't know. I've been listening to Generalist Father podcast. And every time I listen, I'm like, I know Trav's going to invite me on, but all the dudes he's had on are so creative. And I am more of a consumer. And so, of course, he invites me on to the consumer side, which I'm totally fine with because that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
Nate, you look like a creative. That's all that matters. If you didn't out yourself, people wouldn't know.
The beard itself is very creative.
You could have been like, I'm a lo-fi hip hop DJ on the weekends, and I also do like illustrative work. I do oil paintings, and people would be like, yeah, totally.
Nate, tell them one other thing that you did. You started a podcast.
Oh yeah, I am a creator. I do create a podcast called it used to be called Soccer Neophytes. And it is a Premier League podcast where we help Americans who want to get into soccer, but don't understand it and want to understand it and want to choose a team. We bring them along a journey. So the design is that a new person would come in every season. You watch the entire Premier League season. And then at the end of that season, you choose a team. So very rarely in life, we get to choose a sports team. We grow up in Chicago, so we're a Bulls fan. We grew up in Oregon. I'm a Trailblazers fan. And so I thought this is a cool way that's how I chose my soccer team. And we're on our 5th season. So it's been really exciting.
Dude, that's amazing. That concept is super dope. Dude, if you press into that, like I could totally see you guys getting sponsored.
Yeah, man, we've been doing it for 5 years. We have like 50 listeners. So it's totally, we'll keep pressing. We'll just keep pressing in.
Well, but you do the podcast. You do any like social media marketing or any of that?
A little bit, but
Sure.
not much. So
Yeah.
Now, have you gotten your whole podcast crew together to play footy on the pitch?
no, we have not.
Oh, cheers.
I need to go get another beer.
All right, then.
I can still hear you.
But you did have a great story, Nate, where you did get to hang out with some dude in England, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's
Wolfshire or something.
Wolverhampton.
Wolverhampton. They got awesome names in England.
They do. Yeah, that's been, I would say, one of the coolest things. And Trav, I'm sure you'll experience this as well. Just meeting new people. I made tons of friends through Twitter and through doing the podcast, where I went to Wolverhampton, stayed at a guy's house with his family, and he took me around and met a whole bunch of people that I'd kind of met over the years through being a fan of this club. So it's been really fun.
Dude, can we just shout out that freaking name? What is it? Wolverhampton?
Wolverhampton. Although that's Scottish, sorry.
Like, I immediately want to change my
accent.
name legally.
This is their badge too. That's the
Dude, that's actually really cool. I like that.
yeah.
All right, lads. So what do you want to start off with? Shows? I think shows would be a better way to start.
Tony get to introduce himself, or is he already?
Oh yeah,
talking?
sorry. Tony.
No, Travis doesn't care about that.
No, I totally care about that. Tony, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're in Chicagoland.
Hey, doing there, Trev? I'm
Doing
out
good
here
there,
in
Tony.
I'm out here in Chicago, and yeah, it's kind of cold. Yeah, I was like figuring I would bust that out at some point, and I figured that was the best place to do it. Travis has incriminating MP3 files of me doing Chicago accents, but
Yeah,
and I want to apologize,
Bill
Nate,
Swirsky
for
here.
Bill Swirsky. I want to apologize, Nate, for interrupting you. I'm like definitely feeling chatty tonight, and just tell me to shut up, dude. If I'm just being a little obnoxious, you're just gonna have to do that.
You're good, man.
From beard to beard.
Tony Sorsey, data 4, 17, 15, 13, and 9. So it goes boy, girl, girl. And the oldest one is like, we just measured him again today. He's all of 6'4", 190 pounds, wide receiver, long red hair. And his youngest sister is like somehow the spitting image of him. And then the two ones in the middle, like they have similar vibes and they get along really, really well. Anyways, from Chicagoland, pretty much lived here my entire life. I met Travis through this really cool community called Lark that I've been a part of since 2014. And the premise of Lark is that it really is finished, the message of the gospel, and that church can be as simple as just friendship and shared meals. And we really just talk to the experience of those who believe that and want to press into that. So we podcast and we write and we've published a couple of books and stuff like that. And my favorite thing that we do is we travel around all over. And that's where I met Travis during one of our trips. A mutual friend connected us. We had burritos. His wife, Jill, was super suspicious of me and Russ. But because my wife is exactly the same way, I was like, yo, Pam's totally the same way. I totally get where you're at. Like, and then she and I kind of formed a pretty cool connection over that. And then Travis and Jill became like our favorite stop, whenever we would go around. And I have like a ton of good memories in their backyard, partying and friends and people, and even like learning. That was connected to me for my creative journey, because what I do now is I just volunteer with Lark, but I started a creative agency in 2020, and we do marketing and branding, design work, photography, videography, social media, web, all that kind of jazz. And I actually stumbled into this vocation in this kind of industry. Kind of a wild story. Like, we don't have time for it, but I didn't go to school for any of it. And I started when I was like 37. So it's been fun. Got a growing team. And yeah, that's me. That's in a nutshell.
And you started your company. It's called Catico.
It's called Catico. Yep.
With a K. Katiko, right?
That's right. Yeah.
There we go.
People think it's Katico.
That just had the same cadence of METHOD, man. So there we go. Same number of letters.
Okay, see, I don't like that, because you knew I was going to get into Wu-Tang, and you snuck a Wu-Tang reference in before me. So
Early.
I'm going to talk to you after the show about that one.
Yeah, I got a little competition here on the hip hop heads, because we're all hip hop heads. So okay, so where do you guys want to start as far as which topic, movies or shows? Because we got to dive in.
Let's start with movies, man. It's Oscars season, so I'm in
Yeah.
I always try. My goal is to watch all the Best Picture nominated movies before the Oscars. So I've been doing that for, I don't know, a decade or so, which has been fun. Sometimes you have to watch some crappy movies, but.
And Nate, that's actually why this is happening, because Jill and I have followed you doing that for years now.
Yeah.
You could post all these movies and all these shows and everything. It was so cool because we would have gotten like glimpses, or like we saw a preview and then we just forgot to ever go see it. So to hear you like list them and then give some commentary was always really helpful to like know what we even wanted to watch. So that's kind of what this is for.
Yeah, and I hope it's helpful. Obviously, art is and the enjoyment of art is subjective. I would hope that as we share some of these things that it sparks an interest and we're able to give some good reasoning why films or movies or books are excellent. And I think they're communal as well. We've started doing some stuff with our community where we do these like kid adult double features where we'll watch like a kids movie all together, then we'll put kids down, and then we'll watch like a movie for the adults.
That's cool.
And that's
It's like how a drive-in bill is usually, there's like
Yeah.
something a little bit more kid friendly on the front end.
Yeah, totally. So we've been doing that at our house, which has been really cool because you just get so much more out of film and art when you're able to discuss it. People
yes.
recognize different things or say,
Yes.
and that's why book clubs are so popular, right? Is because you read a book and then you sit around with your friends and talk about the power of the novel or what you read. So
Except I just think my wife turned her book club into just like, moms just like letting out all their rage and just, kicking it and drinking wine. I think it might have started that way. I think it started that way, Nate. But it's a slippery slope.
it's a slippery slope. Books.
The homework is a slippery slope in the book clubs.
Alrighty. So the movies released in 2022. Let's start there.
Yeah. I think we're gonna just try and sit in the top 5. We don't have a lot of time to go through top 10. So these are movies that I saw that were released in 2022. I am a dad of 3 youngish kids. So I feel like it's pretty impressive how many movies I actually see, but I don't have the time to necessarily see everything. But coming in at number 5 for me was Nope, Jordan Peele's latest. Jordan Peele has really kind of redefined the horror thriller genre. Have you guys seen? I don't know if did you guys see Nope?
No.
I saw Get
Nope.
Out and Us, but I haven't seen Nope.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I saw some of Get Out and then didn't finish it for some reason.
I watched Get Out and Us both in theaters.
Trav, you got to go back and see Get Out. That movie.
No, I really liked it. I think
It's better than Us.
I can't remember what happened. Yeah,
for sure. And I would say like Nope's probably my least favorite of the 3 Jordan Peele, but he's still doing things with his films that are asking like really good questions. This would be a great movie to see, I think, with friends where you're able to kind of discuss some of the deeper themes. But essentially it's an alien kind of abduction movie. But it's centered around this family who are the descendants of the first actor. It's an African-American family. And the first kind of moving image is of a black man on a horse. And so it's kind of this like genre defying where they're this kind of cowboyish type family in the country. And yeah, it's asking a lot of interesting questions. So Nope coming in at number 5. Then one of the
Nate,
most.
can I interrupt you really quickly?
Interrupt.
You'll appreciate this. After I saw Us, I literally picked my phone up every day at 4:44.
That's awesome. Yeah,
It's true story. That is a true story.
Us is another movie that was just asking a lot of really good questions. So Jordan Peele's doing good stuff. Number 4 coming in, Everything Everywhere All at Once. The most insane, bizarre movie I saw of 2022. Crazy action. It's dealing with kind of the metaverse idea, which is unfortunate that it's come out amidst like Marvel stuff. I'm a huge Marvel fan. I love the idea of like the multiverse. I love Marvel, but I hope, and it seems like Everything Everywhere All at Once transcended that a bit, where they were able to not just get lumped in with Marvel, but centers around a woman who basically has to like kind of save the world, and has to kind of go through different versions of herself. It's bizarre. It's bizarre, but really, really well done. And then ultimately,
I'll say I'm so pissed that I haven't seen this yet because the trailer looks amazing. So yeah, I need to watch it.
Yeah, and I think too, ultimately it's a movie about family and relationship between parents and kids, and the differences, their experiences, how they experience the world differently. And it's, it's a first and second culture Asian family. And so the daughter's experiencing the world different than her parents. And it's just couched in this insane, insane movie. It is insane.
Yeah, it looked dope.
Yeah.
It did well at the Emmys too, right?
Yeah, it's done. I think it did all right. Yeah. Michelle Yeoh is the main actress. I don't know if she won or not, but I would be surprised if she didn't win.
I thought I saw it getting some press.
Yeah, it for sure got a lot of press. Coming in at number 3, the Batman. Do you guys see that one?
No.
I couldn't believe that I literally didn't know the Penguin was Colin Farrell.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like crazy good on the makeup.
Dude, Colin Farrell had probably and you'll see this in a second. Colin Farrell probably had the greatest year of any actor in my generation, which is he basically was in all of the top 3 movies of 2022, which is pretty remarkable. I actually had forgotten that he was in the Batman, but because his other performances were totally overshadowed that. But Robert Pattinson, who if you can get beyond all the Twilight stuff, which I had to do, has become a really phenomenal actor. And
you have to really just pray through it.
Yes. Just pray through all the Twilight stuff and then get to Robert Pattinson.
Shake it off.
But the Batman was really entertaining and just excellent.
I mean, so here's the deal. Would you want to follow Ledger and Phoenix?
No, I would not.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
No.
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I'm talking about the Batman that's coming up. Like, what's that cat's name?
Oh yeah. It looks really good.
Like they just released like the photography for his character or whatever. That's wild. But then Colin Farrell connects to something in TV shows for us for sure. But I had the same thought when I saw the Pattinson thing. I was like, what the heck, dude? Like, Twilight. But when they came out with the movie photography and like some of the mood of it and all, and I was like, sweet, dude. DC's owning that like dark vibe. And that's what DC needs to do,
I agree.
Like go adult, go dark, like own that. Even the Marvel stuff that they've done, it's proven to do well. Deadpool, Logan, all that. Like just own it, dude. Go all in on that.
Yeah, DC has just done a total they're going through a total rebrand, which will be really interesting to see. They brought in a new kind of head over the entire story arc. So they're kind of scrapping everything they've done in the past. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because they haven't really been able to hold a candle to what Marvel's done over the last decade or 15 years. So
Yeah.
Number 2 movie after Yang, another Colin Farrell movie set in kind of it's set in the future, which you don't get a lot of the actual kind of futuristic elements that you would expect from a future movie. But this is directed by Kogonada, who has become kind of a really good up and coming director. But essentially, Yang is a companion robot who malfunctions, and Colin Farrell, the dad, is on a mission to try and fix this robot and for his daughter, because this is her like friend. And so he goes on this journey, and on the journey discovers that kind of the robot Yang isn't necessarily who he thought he was, but really, really beautiful and really brilliant movie. And Colin Farrell, again, just really amazing performance in that. It came out in 2021 at a lot of the film festivals, so it doesn't always fall into the 2020 lists, but it was released widely in 2022. So it's been out for quite a while. And then the number one movie for me of 2022 was The Banshees of Inisherin, also starring Colin Farrell alongside of Brendan Gleeson. It's a movie about friendship, broken friendship. It's these kind of lifelong best friends living on this really small Irish island. And Brendan Gleeson's character essentially wants to end the friendship, and Colin Farrell doesn't understand why. And
that one looked awesome too.
Dude, it's remarkable.
I hate that I haven't seen these because dude, like I usually am up. And we kind of talked pre-show a little bit, like some stuff has changed for me, not because like, oh, I'm trying to make some change, less media, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just like listening to it. I'm like, damn it, Nate, freaking crap.
Yeah.
Nate's going to keep us all a little more current in the future.
Yeah. Banshees of Inisherin is fascinating too, because it's set amidst some of the IRA, Northern Ireland, Irish war. And so there's some metaphorical imagery between these two friends and how their friendship self-destructs, and kind of lessons on war and a civil war. And so I have a huge fascination with Northern Ireland and kind of the Troubles. And so that adds a whole other element to this film that I think makes it my favorite movie of 2022.
Cool.
Hey, a really quick story connected to Ireland for all the dads out there watching who married up. If you're a dad and you're listening to this podcast and you married up, I'm pretty much talking to all you mofuggers, all you guys married, everybody married up. When I went to Dublin, I met this crew of dudes and we were like kicking it at a bar. And then Pam comes over afterwards and this guy's like, is this your wife? And I said, yes, my wife, Pam. He goes, you're really punching above your weight, man. Which I thought was the best way to say that a fool married up. I thought that was great.
That's great.
That's like in wrestling. If you wrestled like 5 weight classes too high.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So, and Tony, if you've seen any of these, you can comment or anything you want to add. I'll comment on one that I've seen here. Literally 1 out of 10. And then I have one to add, which would be the new Pinocchio.
Oh yeah, the Guillermo del Toro.
Del Toro, yeah. That thing was, I like movies that make me feel something, and they're usually somewhat serious, and they're usually on the darker side. And that one really had all that. It really I don't know. It really made me, I finished the movie and I was like, I looked at my family and I'm like, that was really good. And I wasn't sure what to think about at the beginning. It was really like, I don't know, something deep and raw about it. I really liked it.
Yeah,
That's
that's
cool.
on my to watch list before the Oscars. I'm really excited to see that.
and it's
I
fun
will
to watch
say,
with your family. Like my kids liked it too. So
Great.
yeah, I will say this, like I connect with my dad through sports, and I've always connected with my mom through music and movies. And as a way for parents to engage kids, I have a lot of really good memories around like watching movies and like my mom teaching me how to watch movies and introducing me to the idea of like foreshadowing and like all that. And she was like kind of tracking with storyline and kind of broke it down, you know, like it's a cool medium for sure to connect with your kids.
Yeah, we watched in that double feature. The first double feature we did, we watched Lightyear was the first movie we watched with the kids. And there was a whole within the Christian world, so lame, but there was all this uproar about the two women kissing. And for me, I'm as a dad, I'm like, dude, I want my kids to see this stuff so that we can have good conversations about potentially challenging topics, you know.
Hmm.
And so I think films introduce topics that are good for us to discuss and delve into as you get to, you know, whatever the appropriate levels are. None of the movies I recommended are movies that I could watch with my kids probably, but soon enough.
and then the
Yeah, I
one that
like
I
what you're
saw,
saying because your comment was predicated on like a parent willing to have the conversation.
Yeah,
I think maybe
Yeah.
the other side might be what about when there's no conversation?
of course. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is I'd rather watch films or shows with my kids if they're willing to do it and then have conversations about it, you know. And I watch intense movies, I watch intense shows, I like that type of stuff. And so
Yeah,
I look forward to the day I'm able to watch that stuff with my kids and then
right.
ask questions of them and have them ask questions of me. Like, what does this
Nate,
mean?
I didn't catch how old your kids are. How are they?
11, 9, and 5.
Okay, cool.
So we're in Pinocchio.
Those are dope ages, man.
They're great ages, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Tony, say your ages again.
17, 15, 13, and 9.
Good. And I got 16, 7, and 5.
Yeah.
So the one I wanted to point out that I did see was The Northman.
Oh yeah.
And going into it, I had no idea what it was about. I mean, I got the idea that it was some kind of Viking movie, but I didn't know what to expect at all. I just went into it completely blind, which is kind of a fun way to see a movie. And that movie had that feeling for me. It had that deep, like it's questioning deep things, and it was showing like actual Viking rituals and stuff, and very spiritual. It was a very spiritual movie. That's the word that came to mind. Obviously not of any religion we're familiar with. It's like Druid, Viking, North Viking religion, Norse religion. But even in that, you see some similarities and parallels of like a boy becoming a man, and you see I can't remember everything, but it was like the emotion and the spirituality was handled in a way that was very potent, like very powerful and very engaging, and it made me feel a lot of feels as I'm watching it. I'm like, wow,
That's cool.
This movie's intense.
Robert Eggers is the director of that, and he's put out some really fascinating films over the last few years. He has one called The Lighthouse that is shot in like, I don't know, like a 4:4 aspect ratio. It's like it's a square, but the whole movie's set on this island. And
That's the one with Willem Dafoe and Pattinson.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's Willem Dafoe and Pattinson. It's just the two of them on this island. It's shot in this really tight aspect ratio, and it is the most claustrophobic movie. And
I can't do it.
It's instigating in you the feeling of being trapped on this island on a like lighthouse. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant movie, and those two guys are out. It's bizarre and insane, and those two guys put on just remarkable performances.
That's cool. The only thing I'll say is Better Call Saul So my mom and dad and I both got into Breaking Bad. And I knew Bob Odenkirk back when he was doing Mr. Show with David Cross. And a lot of people don't know this. Bob Odenkirk played a president in a series of Miller Lite commercials where he was like politically talking about like all kinds of stuff. Dude, they're hilarious. If you could look up Bob Odenkirk Miller Lite commercials back in the day, dude, they're literally the best, dude. They're so great. So great. But anyways, I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of art in my office made by a bud. It's like some pop art stuff with Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So it's like, yeah. So his thing was like bear head art. And so he would just throw bear heads over like all these like pop, like culture icons and do like pop art. So it'd be like the old Adam West Batman and like all that. And so I got the Jesse Pinkman and I got the Walter White.
nice. That's
Yeah.
I figured you guys would appreciate that.
that's so
Yeah. I love those when I saw them in your studio or in your office. So then on to the movies watched that weren't from this year. You have the same lineup for the top 4, or no, 3, but then we got a few others.
Yeah, I don't
These
know.
aren't necessarily from this year.
Yeah, they were just ones. I think maybe the only one that I think would be interesting to talk about here. I think Flea. Flea was it's probably one that no one's heard of, and that's why I figured maybe I'd just talk about it. But Flea is a novel or a book. Gosh, no, it's a movie that is like kind of it's an animated film that is telling the story of this Afghani boy who has fled Afghanistan and gone to Denmark. And it's kind of telling the story. He's being interviewed and telling the story of his family, but it's animated. It's pretty short. It's like, I think under 90 minutes, but really well done and really interesting storytelling of kind of an immigrant and fleeing violence and the challenges of immigration. So it's really, really good.
I did see The Power of the Dog, and it's good, but it's not anything I would recommend necessarily. There's also, this is a time for any movies that are like kind of your favorites that you think other guys have not even heard of, or other people have not even, maybe it's not on their radar. Because I've told people my favorite, I'm sure my top 2, and a lot of people are like, I haven't even seen those, and I'm really shocked because they're literally my top 2 favorite movies, and that would be Children of Men, which is 2006 with Clive Owen. It's super prophetic of the future, and very just extremely powerful story, but also like cinematography. There's like I don't know how many minutes single shot through a war zone. That's absolutely unbelievable. I think it's like 10 minutes or 14 minutes. Just
That's
unreal, unreal that they could keep that shot going that long. It's unreal.
The first time I saw a thing like that was Goodfellas, Scorsese, and going through the club scene when he first brings, who would be his wife through that. And then now to see like some of them are getting like insane, like this one. That's crazy.
Yeah, and there's another scene where they're chasing a car out of a driveway on this farm, and it's one long scene as well. Like they just go, the coordination of getting that scene right is just unreal.
Yeah.
And then another movie that's like, these 3 movies are favorites. I mean, they're in the top high recommendations at this point. One's a top favorite for me is Defiance from 2008. And I talked to a lot of people, they haven't seen that. It's got Daniel Craig in it, like the James Bond guy, and Liev Schreiber. And it's a World War II movie where Jews and basically a band of Jews and a couple like tough brothers that are Jews also, like they band together and go out in the woods to survive. And they form community, they form a little bit of government. It's really, really a cool movie. And if you haven't seen it, I really recommend it. And then 2 that are more recent, but they're not that recent, but I still had not seen them, but I saw them this year. So that's my premise with these 2. Calvary, which has Brendan Gleeson also.
Yep.
and he's a priest, and there's something that goes down in his little town in Ireland, and
Yeah, that movie's great.
it's gnarly. It's a crazy, really good movie, really good story, really good like ethics and themes of like spiritual retaliation, fear, life-threatening situations, stuff like that.
So the interesting thing about that is that guy, the director of that movie, is the brother of the director who did Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah,
That's cool.
The McDonough brothers. They actually do like quite a few movies together, but that's Calvary's one that the one brother did by himself, and then Banshees of Inisherin's one that the other brother did by himself.
that's cool.
The McDonough brothers, they're gay.
And then the last one that really relates to fatherhood is Captain Fantastic. Have you guys seen that?
No,
I don't think
I
so.
have not.
It's a really dumb name.
Oh,
it does not fit the movie.
It's Viggo Mortensen, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Viggo.
okay, yeah.
And he's like this.
I prefer
crazy-
Eastern Promises, but yeah, that's cool.
What is Eastern Promises
Russian mafia stuff.
that he's in?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this one's about fatherhood more than anything, and how he did it super regimented, super tight-fisted, trained his kids in Trotsky and communism and high philosophy and intellectualism and physical training and doing all this work and chores and living off the grid. And it just tells the story from there. It's really, really cool movie.
That's
And
cool.
it's very
I remember seeing the trailer
emotional.
for that. It looked great. And I like
Yeah.
Viggo Mortensen a lot. Him in The Road. The Road was great.
I haven't seen The Road, dang it.
Yeah.
I know I need to see
Read
The Road.
Cormac McCarthy's stuff. He's great.
So I went with a cat. Travis, you'll appreciate this. I always talk about people who have big influence in my life. Russ was one of them, obviously, and then Travis. And I know I've talked to you about Travis because your name is Travis, and he introduced me to like the world like of just church and life and ministry outside of this little bubble I was in. And then when he was in Chicago for a brief time, The Road was only playing in select theaters and select cities, and I saw The Road with him.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's got to be a good movie.
Yep.
On to shows, TV shows.
Can I say something really quick
Tony,
about?
do you have any interjection?
Well, no,
movies?
just to point out, it's Nick Cage and just his story now, like his trajectory. And so seeing Pig on there, and then also like Mandy. Did you guys see Mandy? So Mandy was another one of these freaking crazy movies that Nicolas Cage has done, and it like instantly became a cult classic. And I think, who was the dude that played Frodo? What's that cat's name in real life?
Frodo.
What's his name in real life though?
It's Frodo.
No, like Elijah something.
Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood directed Mandy.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah.
Nick Cage. It's insane. Dads, do not watch this with your kids. Do not watch this with your wives. In fact, if you do watch it, you might not want to mention it to your wife. Keep it a secret. Not that good dads keep secrets. Actually, we all do. And if you say you don't, you're a liar. But go ahead.
Well, there you go, Tony. Then any other movies you want to add in, Tony, that are from the past that you find a lot of people have not seen?
No, I feel like I'm just kind of like anything that I like is like super typical. Although Sound of Metal was awesome.
Yes.
And
So good.
I don't know what is that dude's name? He was the bad guy in the first Venom. He also did a short anthology show on HBO where he was wrongfully accused and committed of a crime. That was a really, really killer single season on HBO. I forget what it was called.
Riz Ahmed.
Yes. Yeah, that Sound of Metal was awesome. It's about a drummer, like an experimental metal drummer. And he loses his hearing.
It's amazing.
And it's just him dealing with like the fallout of all that. It's great.
So good.
Wow.
From the last couple of years, I would add Marriage Story.
Oh yeah,
If you guys saw that,
that's a real fun one.
dude, I love that like super depressing
That
Like-
one was too real. It's not fun.
movies that make you feel something. I love that. Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson, basically their
Yeah.
marriage is falling apart. It's amazing. It makes
Speaking of Adam
more
Driver,
gritty than Blue Valentine.
I don't think I've seen Blue Valentine, but it's pretty real.
Yeah. What's his name? He was in the the Notebook.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
What's
that
his
beautiful
name?
man.
Driver.
Ryan
That was a
Gosling.
great movie. Drive.
Ryan
Yeah,
Gosling
Ryan Gosling.
and Michelle
yes.
Williams, who's remarkable. I don't think I've seen that. I'll need to watch that.
Yeah. In The Place Beyond the Pines with him too.
I saw
Good stuff.
Silence with Adam Driver this year for the first time, and it's from 2016, but I hadn't
That's
seen
Kylo
it yet.
Ren, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's so good. He's so good.
yeah, that movie's awesome. Anyways,
One of the
so-
best SNL skits was Undercover Boss with Kylo Ren. That was pretty
Yes,
great.
so
When-
good.
yeah, that was good.
Oh man. So somebody just posted a meme today that was parents after they get the kids down. And it was Chris Farley with his hair like this after he had fallen down the hill in Black Sheep. And he turns around and starts stumbling towards the cabin, like after the big fall. It doesn't even show the fall, it just shows him after the fall, and that's parents after they get the kids down. The TV shows. So these are not really TV shows anymore. These are like streamed shows, but we'll
That's
still call them
right.
TV shows.
Yeah, what do we call them? I watch them on my TV. I watch them on my computer too, I guess.
You watch movies on your TV too.
That's right.
Yeah. So
I'll
let's
just
go-
hand
I
pick
mean,
a
unless you
couple-
got a home theater.
Now you
I
guys
don't know
need to
how
buy-
much. I don't know how much nonprofits are paying these days.
No.
You might have a home theater, my dude.
I don't, man. I don't. I'm pretty simple, but I'll just hand pick a couple of these shows. Some of them are more relevant. Some of them are maybe older. I'll start with Atlanta. Atlanta, Childish Gambino. If you know, if we're talking rap music, he. I don't know why I can't think of his name. What's his name in real life?
Oh,
You guys watch
Glover.
that? What?
Is his last name Glover?
Yeah,
Danny-
Donald Glover.
Danny
Donald-
Glover, Lethal Weapon. Watch out. Hello.
Donald Glover, yeah.
80s
Donald
calling.
Donald
Where
Glover.
did Childish Gambino get his name? Pop quiz.
Wu-Tang Generator.
That's right.
So Atlanta, 4 seasons of Atlanta. The last season just came out actually not too long ago. It's about a rapper I guess a manager of a rapper. Donald Glover plays the manager of his buddy, who's kind of this up and coming rapper, but they are just dealing with tons of cultural, racial issues. Like really, there's some episodes that are just insane. Like it's one of those things where there's a whole episode, I think it's in season 3 on reparations, but it's kind of like as if reparations fully were instituted, what it would be like. And he kind of takes it to the most extreme level, and it's bizarre, but it definitely leaves you wondering, like, is this prescriptive? Is this just creative? Like, what's he doing here? Right. It's basically the This Is America music video, just extended into 4 seasons of television, but it's really well written, really well acted. Lakeith Stanfield is in it. He plays one of the buddies. He's a really remarkable, great actor. I highly recommend it. It's a fascinating watch.
What was the network television show he was in? I think Chevy Chase was in it too.
Lakeith Stanfield or
Donald Glover. It was like Community College or something.
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Joel McHale might have been in it too.
Yes, Community.
Community. Yeah.
Yep.
Never saw it.
I didn't either. Since we're talking about soccer or football, as they call it in the rest
You
of the
mean
world.
you were talking about it?
Footy.
Yes, I was
You kind of put a weir in there.
Well, Travis asked me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Podcast.
I talk about-
Way to
I talk
single me
about
out,
footy.
Nate. Way
Well,
to single me out. I thought we were friends.
you told me it was a good idea. So
When we start talking about manscaped bikers, we'll call you in on that, Tony. But anyways, footy is what they call football in England.
It's like your one burn you have for me, but it's really good.
That's all I
really
got. But you're a beautiful man. Otherwise, you're just a little too chic for a Harley.
Hey, dude, I didn't say I was a Hell's Angel, dude. Okay.
No.
Love
No.
it. Well, a soccer television show called Welcome to Wrexham. It's a documentary. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. You've probably heard of this. They bought a small club in England. Ryan Reynolds, of course, Deadpool. Rob McElhenney is from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Philly's in the Super Bowl this weekend.
Yep. They put their money together and bought a small club in Wales called Wrexham, and they started making this documentary. They're in like the 5th tier, so I won't bore you with how world football is structured. But if the first tier, the Premier League, is like Major League Baseball, they bought a team that's like short season single A. But the difference in the way football is structured throughout the world is it's merit based. So if your team wins your league or finishes towards the top of your league, you move up to the next level. So, and
So teams can move up and down, do the whole thing.
teams move up and down. And
Yeah.
so the 5th
Instead of
tier,
being based on like city size or, like whatever.
yeah, market. Yeah. It's based on how well your team performs, and you can get more revenue and get like a broader fan base. And the 5th tier of English soccer is considered semi-pro, and it's really hard to break into the top 4 levels. And so Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney are trying to bring this club into the 4th tier, which would be like a huge deal. And so season 1 just kind of follows that team's story. It's very entry level soccer, so they explain a lot. They kind of help you understand, but I think it's really fascinating. So
That's cool.
That's cool. I got buds that are into soccer, and they come with it with like that same passion, that I have for my teams and stuff like that. So,
totally.
but I think like when it comes to like maybe it's hard to get into new movies or music. I think for me, like sports too, like, even when the Blackhawks were, winning Stanley Cups, or, soccer comes around, FIFA, right? And you have all your friends who are into it. And it's just like, dude, it's just hard to get into for me, but I see their joy, and I know their joy because I experienced their joy like in other places. Like I just can't do it.
Yeah, like hiking.
Yeah.
Like hiking, Tony.
Yes, hiking. That's not a sport, my man.
I'll tell you something though.
The way you do it ain't a sport.
The way you did it wasn't a sport, that's for sure.
Hey, I had more action. at my trip than yours.
Nate, I took Tony on a hike, and it was like a hike for children. And on the
Hole in the rock, like hole in the rock here in Phoenix.
within 4 minutes, Tony goes, "These vans are holding up quite nicely," and then his feet slipped out from under him, and he fell on his back in mud. And he had a nice camera on him, and like fresh new vans, and it was not.
They were in fresh new vans. Okay,
it ruined his like view of hiking.
I believe it. That's funny.
But anyways, we digressed.
Yeah, we
So
digress.
I'm kind
Basically,
really
Travis
curious.
took me on a stupid ass walk through the rocks so that I could go swim in a small pool with 50 of his neighbors. Like it's like this is not big enough, dude.
That's
and I
not
came
what
all the way up
happened.
here for this.
That
Oh,
is not
there's
what
a big
happened.
tree sticking out of the ground. You could climb it and jump off it. It's like, yeah, like everyone's here watching me just like take
Your
my
kids
shirt off
loved
in my
it.
beer belly.
You cannonballed half the water out, and
I did
your
it.
kids
I
loved
did
it,
it.
and it was awesome. It's called Water Wheel up by Payson.
Love it.
It wasn't rocks; it's like a forest.
Nice
Tony doesn't
family
really know
juke you did on me there.
landscapes.
Being from Chicagoland, it's a lot of flat cornfields around here.
So, Nate, I'm really curious about Severance. Why is it at the top of your list?
Yes.
Jump there, and then other noteworthy stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Severance. is, I don't know. They're doing something different. It's the basic premise is that you can choose to sever your life into basically two parts. So a professional life where you go to work, and a personal life. And they, through like scientific means, obviously set in the future, through scientific means, you can, once you enter into this building and go down the elevator, it like locks your brain into a different mode. And once you just work and you have no idea like anything about your personal life. And then when you leave work, you have your personal life. And so, but it starts to break down. And that's kind of the beauty of the show, is that some of the characters are trying to maybe figure out what their real life is, or are dissatisfied, or don't want to be there, or don't think they want to be there. And so it's really fascinating. Adam Scott's the main character. He was in Parks and Rec. That's where you'd probably recognize him from.
I met Jerry from Parks and Rec at a DSW in a town near me. He was buying a pair of Rockports, and he was super freaking awesome. Engaged my kids, asked them about Christmas gifts, all that. Good dude.
That's cool. But what's interesting is it's it's basically directed by Ben Stiller. And so I don't know if you remember, if any of you guys saw The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Yeah.
Yes. One of my favorite Rogue Wave songs is in that soundtrack. It's Lake Michigan. It's a fantastic, fantastic song.
That's a great song. Well, if you enjoyed kind of that style of Secret Life of Walter Mitty, you definitely get that feel with Severance.
That's awesome.
But it's fascinating. It's great.
That's cool.
Yep.
Cool. Any other show stuff you want to talk about?
I'd probably just shout out Only Murders in the Building. Really fun, really intriguing, funny. Season 1, I think there's been 2 seasons so far. So season 1 came out a couple years ago, but that's really good. Steve Martin and Martin Short, along with Selena Gomez. I mean, it's a bizarre mix of casts, but really good, intriguing kind of murder mystery, lighthearted murder mystery show.
Good to see that old SNL crew, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, still like being relevant in some ways. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Martin Short, who I don't typically love, plays a bit more of a subdued version of himself. You know, he's still zany and out there, but don't think the wedding planner from Father of the Bride. Not quite that. He's not playing that character.
No talk of Chipper Chicken.
No.
Stranger Things, we've followed all the way till this season, and then the first episode like put Jill and Tegan off so bad that they didn't want to watch it anymore.
Really?
Yeah, they were super disturbed, and I started to watch it, and I could see why they were disturbed.
It's too dark.
They almost felt like demonic. Like there was all these kids shot up and stuff, and just the whole. There was definitely sort of like a demonic thing happening with one of the characters a couple seasons ago. There's just stuff like that felt really. I mean, it freaked Tegan out. I mean, it wasn't like religious teaching that freaked Tegan out. It was like the thing itself freaked Tegan out.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. And then This Is Us is just awesome. Like that show and Parenthood were like 2 of our favorites all the way through, like the whole thing. The characters are so great. The families are so cool, like the way they love each other and stick together and work through their crap. And I feel like those two shows like model good family dynamics a lot of the time. Like you actually learn by watching it. It's pretty powerful.
You can tell
every time I see a commercial for a network show, I'm like, who watches this?
Yeah.
Who is this for? But no, not those. I'm just saying network shows in general. I'm like,
Oh,
who
yeah.
consumes this?
Yeah.
But I never got into This Is Us, but I knew a lot of people and I respected a lot of people who did get into it, but I never did.
Yeah. I mean, I basically cried every episode for 6 seasons in a row. Like it's so well written. You can tell it's well researched. The themes that they deal with, our daughters adopted, and part of the show is they adopt a kid, and yeah, you can just see a lot of either the writers have adopted or they just have so well researched so many of these
The
topics.
realness.
It's so real. And
That's what I like about both of those shows.
the intricacies of the family dynamics and the family issues that they're dealing with are just really really well done.
And they were obviously written to people our age because it's all how it plays out and how old the parents are and how old the kids are. It's like
Totally.
really interesting how it plays out like that. Both of those shows, Parenthood is just as good. Dax is awesome in Parenthood. I mean, all the actors do such a good job for many seasons. So one that you didn't put on here, but we've followed. I feel like it's been the most important one to me. We've watched some. I mean, we watched Walking Dead back in the day, and then we lost interest after like 4 or 5 seasons. It got really scatterbrained or weird or something. I can't remember. And then
I gave up after Negan.
Yeah. And then there's been other shows. I mean, we went through Breaking Bad, the whole thing, and like a few other long, big ones that were like that. The most recent one that has meant something to me is Handmaid's Tales.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty puts them in, it's similar to Walking Dead in that it puts you in so many crazy situations that you have to think like, what would I do? What's the right thing to do? So many complex situations where the right thing to do is not exactly clear. And that's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah.
It puts so many predicaments like that. And it's basically the whole show is like a big predicament of what the hell would you do if this was you,
And Christians usually struggle with morally ambiguous things.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like when morality gets complicated because it is. Jesus complicates it.
Yeah. I actually haven't seen it. I've read the book, Margaret Atwood.
You read the book?
I read the book, but I haven't seen the show.
Well, you probably got more out of it. You probably got more of it from the book.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a husband in it who, you're just relating to the husband. What the heck would I do? What would I be doing? Would I be killing people or would I be this supportive or what? It's a powerful show. It's a powerful show. So
the only thing I would say on Nate's list, like you got to shout out, he has just kudos for you and I being on the same level here with the True Detective season 1. Shout out.
Yeah.
I love that show in a very, very deep way. I actually had a friend who was getting into like character building, like just flat lay, like illustrative work. And I forget the name of his website, but he would update the show as the rabbit hole was going down with all the characters. And he was like, making sure he was naming people and how they were connected and all that. He ended up getting connected with the show and they sent him one of the little triangle spiral things, like the ones that are made of wood.
Yeah.
Like from the actual set, they freaking sent him one, dude. He has it. And he's coming to, I could say this now because this is going to post after my wife's surprise 40th birthday party on Saturday. He's coming to my wife's surprise 40th birthday party this Saturday. It's happening. And it's just like wild. Like I love this show so much, and the homie's got like a piece of that show.
That's so sweet. Yeah, that show's so good. I listened to the Matthew McConaughey book that he wrote. I listened to the audio.
Did he get into it?
He talks about it a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, cool. I know a lot of people who have read that or listened to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and if we want to talk, I know we're talking about 2022 in review, but I will talk about a 2023 show that, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because I think True Detective was and I didn't watch it live, but it was one of those shows that people were watching on Sunday nights, right? We've lost that a
Yes.
little bit with television, with streaming
correct.
shows coming out, in bulk. But when True Detective came out, and HBO still does this, where they release their shows,
Right.
Sunday nights.
Right.
But The Last of Us, it's a
Oh yeah.
zombie show that's come out on
It's
HBO.
the video game turned. Yeah. Okay.
So you guys, it is so well done.
That's cool.
I mean, it's kind of remarkable that you can continue making zombie shows, movies. We're talking about
Right,
Walking
dude.
Dead.
That is true. Hey,
What
that
else
is
can
true.
you do? World War Z.
Right,
Like,
right.
there's so many good ones.
Right.
Somehow, like The Last of Us, coming off the heels of Walking Dead,
Mhm.
is doing something different, and
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal, who's the main character, he just can't do any wrong right now. He's a remarkable actor. And
The thing that went viral recently about him was if Mario Kart went the HBO route. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, they do a whole thing like if Mario Kart was an actual HBO show.
Oh, that's funny.
Dude, look it up. It's great. Watch it on YouTube. It's fantastic.
I will. That's funny.
That's funny. So next would be books. And actually let's skip books for now, but only super honorable mentions. Because then I want to do Wu name generator for all three of us, and then get into music and finish.
I
on
feel
music.
like that's an episode, dude. I feel like this might be a 2-episode recording.
Well, we're getting to just top 5, anything new music. We're not going through all hip hop or anything like that. That would be its
See,
own
I was
episode.
misled again.
Well, we hired you.
I was misled. I'm just gonna
We
let
hired
everyone
you.
know who's watching this. I was completely misinformed on the
We
premise.
paid you to be on here
of-
just to make us laugh.
I was
Tony.
completely
That's right.
misinformed of the premise of this show. I thought it was going to be an hour of me talking about my extensive hip hop knowledge, and I would be able to mention a bunch of things none of you have ever heard of, so I could sound and appear to be very super smart.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's what I
Like
thought I was
DJ
signing up for.
Muggs, DJ Muggs new stuff. So yeah, I want to hit on some of that, like honorable mentions. Basically, I don't want to go too long on everything, but the stuff that you want to share with others.
Well, books are tough because I think books have to, visual media, you get instant reaction on. Books take time because they take time to read. And so it's really hard to have like book reviews. I almost never read a book from the year it came out. So I'm just going to give one shout out, and I'm going to recommend not to read it. So if you're not a reader, this is even better, because I recommend get the audiobook. There's a great app called Libby. It connects to your local library, and you can get audiobooks for free. You might have to wait a little while. Libby. So if you have a library card, you can get audiobooks. But there's a book called Daisy Jones and the Six. This will be a good segue into music, because it's essentially a fictional account of a Fleetwood Mac type band from the 70s. And Fleetwood Mac is, if you had to tell me I could only listen to one more thing probably for the rest of my life, Fleetwood Mac would probably be it. I love Fleetwood
Super
Mac.
interesting. They call that your island band. If you're on an island,
I mean,
and you only had one band.
There's others that would be up there, but Fleetwood Mac would be towards the top. I love them. And this book is like a fictionalized kind of account of a band that comes together and breaks apart. And it's done in a really creative and brilliant way. And the audiobook has different voice actors and actresses, and totally worth it. Really profound and great novel. So
That's cool.
But we can move to music.
Yeah, I stopped reading books after I left being a pastor, and I realized that I only read because it was my job.
You just wanted to sound smart in your sermon.
Yeah, hey, I wasn't getting paid for nothing,
That's
Yeah.
right.
So
you had to play the part. You had to play the part. All you have to do is quote somebody, and all of a sudden you're just like, oh, you have an upper hand in the conversation.
So I want to share two little categories here, and one is just a list. I'm just going to read it off for any of you dads out there. I'll tell you why. But this one's like singer-songwriter / alt country. This is when Jill pushed me out of my comfort zone. She's like, you need to listen to stuff besides Sublime and Pigeon John.
Oh,
So-
we're moving on to music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to shout out Sandra Boynton books, the
Okay.
kids books.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
they're just fantastic. If you got young kids, Sandra Boynton's where it's at.
All right.
Sandra Boynton. All right.
On it.
What ages would that be good for, Tony?
3, 4, 5, 6.
Little ones?
Yeah, Sandra Boynton, dude. Follow her on Instagram.
Cool. Also, the previous guy we had on the podcast, he's writing that podcast for children, which has really been cool, called The Light Catchers. Cody Kimmel's writing the the Light Catchers podcast.
Dude,
Trav,
shout
you'll
out to
love-
Cody.
Trav, you'll love this. After that podcast, I texted Cody and I said, dude, if you want someone to read your book, like just to give you some thoughts, let me know. So I'm currently reading his book.
His dystopian one.
Dystopian one. It's
Nice.
great. It's so good. I'm excited. I hope it gets picked up. It's really good.
That's cool. That's going to be really exciting when that comes out someday.
Totally.
Kind of see what the heck was going on in his head with a big dystopian story. So singer-songwriters and alt country. So I got into this more recently, the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, I'm old, so that's like a quarter of my life. I'd say these bands like in the last 2 to 3 years, and then all of these bands more recently, like in the last year, I got onto some of these albums. No, that's not true. It's been 3 or 4 years on some of these. So one is called Zach Bryan. He's pretty much my favorite voice now. Like I was looking for kind of a rugged, rough, masculine voice. It's kind of what I'm drawn to with music. I struggle with like female-led vocal bands for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, same.
For me, I just need to hear, and if it's like real beautiful and high, I can respect it and I like it. One of these is actually like that. Actually, no, 2 of these are like that. And then 3, I'd say, are more like rugged, deeper masculine voices. But Zach Bryan's really rough and really, really country. He's from Oklahoma.
Like
and he's
Chuck Reagan rough.
not that rough. No, this guy's
Okay.
way bit a stronger singer in vocal range. Chuck's more coming from punk
Yeah,
and post-hardcore.
right.
But so Zach Bryan's just straight up a country boy, and he's playing his songs. He must have had his guitar in the military because he's from the military, and he came right out. He's pretty young. And the next guy's pretty young too, Colton Moore, with a K, Colton Moore and the Clever Few. And I haven't gotten into much of Colton Moore except for his Lone Wolf EP. It's 5 songs, and I can just listen to it on repeat on a road trip over and over. And at least I found it more recently, so I'm not listening to the same stuff from 30 years ago. But I'll still listen to it 100,000 more times. And then another one that's really, really beautiful, amazing, like falsetto voice, kind of like Bon Iver or Bon Iver. And is there another band like that?
Hey man, y'all know about that Bon Iver?
Down in Arizona, we call him Bon Iver.
Man, I heard that guy.
Yeah. So SYML. I don't even know I don't know if they have a way of saying it, but it's SYML. Beautiful freaking music for anyone. I think anyone would like
All
that
right.
from
Okay. All right.
I'm
gonna write these down, dude.
And then Dan Mangan, he's a Canadian, incredible voice. And 2 noteworthy songs are Lay Low and Peaks and Valleys. These 2 songs they're on my Man Art Nation playlist. And then the last one is Coulter Wall. And his song that got me was called Sleeping on the Blacktop. And he sounds like a 60-year-old whiskey drunk, and he looks like he's 18. He's like 24. He's 24 and he sounds like a 65-year-old. No, he's 27. And he's from Canada also. So 3 of these guys are from Canada.
Love it.
Or 2 of them, which is really interesting, playing like kind of country and singer-songwriter. And then onto this other topic, I just wanted to mention honorable mention on some of the Christian hip hop. And the reason I want to mention it is these are all rappers that Tegan and I have vetted very thoroughly, and cheesy ones have fallen off the list. And these are guys who could hang in either side of the culture, like anywhere. They could do any kind of show anywhere. And I put the top 5 are pretty serious, but I'd say all these guys are pretty good. The ones people are most familiar with would be Andy Mineo and Lecrae.
Yeah.
And the reason I mention these, because I hope that people that are not necessarily Christians would be listening to the podcast and be on the podcast. I have some friends that are going to be on the podcast. But the reason I mention this is because if you love hip hop, but you don't want to play like WAP or something in your car with your kids, this would be a great list.
Yeah, because those are your really only 2 options, you know.
Yeah, those are the only 2 options.
Yeah.
No, so if you do want clean stuff, at least that's what this stuff could be good for anybody. But Aha Gazelle is one of them. He's completely insane on his flows, on his cadence, and on his melody. He's a singer as he raps, and that's why I got him kind of at the top. And then I don't know if you guys have heard about Toby Nwigwe. Have you guys?
No,
I have.
He just was on his Instagram.
His wife's name is Fat.
Yeah.
Toby and Fat.
Yep. And they just were shaking hands with Jay-Z, and Busta Rhymes like bowed down to them at whatever that award show was that just happened.
Dude, just big ups to their whole videography, their brand, their vibe, their aesthetic. They did
it all themselves.
It's awesome.
Linnell, the cousin, made all the beats, and she's in all the videos. Toby and Fat write all their own lyrics and did all their own choreography. And they did choreography and wardrobe for every video and all the lyrics.
Yeah.
So it's like a whole.
And they have a thing that they do. They have an aesthetic. And I feel like from that world, you know, I totally appreciate
they got Dame Dalla on one of their songs.
Yeah.
Dame
They have
Dalla.
a lot of features now of big rappers on their stuff.
Dame Dalla. Who's that?
That's Damian Lillard.
Never heard of her.
Damian Lillard, the basketball player for the
I don't know who that is.
He's a rapper.
He's a basketball player, Trailblazers.
But
hey, Dame Lillard is sick, dude.
I was kind of joking about that, but like,
oh, gotcha. Kudos to him sticking with the Trailblazers.
CeeLo Green, Shaw Millionaire, 2 Chainz, Pharrell.
Big shout out to CeeLo, dude. Goody Mob, his first group. Dang, dude. Soul Food.
Goody Mob.
Such a dope album.
I'm gonna here's a list. I'm gonna just blaze through it so people, if anyone cares, they can write them down. Paris Karras, which is spelled Chariz. No big deal. He's really good. He's one of Tegan's favorites. John Keith, another one of Tegan's favorites. Tory Deshawn, he's super flows, man. That guy. And they all are so legit on their lyrics and everything. They're so smooth and so smart. Tory Deshawn, Hulvey, Derek Minor, Propaganda, Ty Brazel, KB and Lecrae and Andy Mineo are more the mainstream of what was Christian hip hop. And there's a newer guy called Dax. I don't know if he's newer. He's not really newer. He's newer to me because he's Canadian, and I think he's just breaking out like internationally where people are noticing him. And he's writing it's kind of like that Childish Gambino video. I don't know if Dax was in a church shooting, but he writes a song about it and it sounds like he was there. So I don't know if he's writing as if he was there or if he actually experienced that. I haven't found that out yet, but it's really intense music. And he has a song called Depression. He has a song called Dear Alcohol. Very freaking intelligent dude. And, powerful lyrics and great rapping too.
After you said that to me, I listened to it and I told you it sounded like my house after my kids go down, where it's like really intense and lots of swearing.
Yeah. And then YB
awesome.
is the last mention. And then Show Baraka is a guy I love as well.
Oh yeah, Show Baraka is good.
So yeah, that's my list.
So that Travis dude I mentioned earlier, he started a thing called Terminus with Show Baraka when he moved to Atlanta. They had I forget exactly what it was or what the point of it was. It was a nonprofit. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So any music mentions for you guys? That was what I wanted to share.
Nice. Can I
I'm
go to the
wait-
bathroom, please?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've had like 3 beers and I need to pee.
All right. What music you got?
Dude, I'm not
Good
really
call.
listening to much. I mean, I think we've talked about that a little bit, like my musical.
You fell off?
Yeah, and we were talking about that pre-show, but I'd seen a study back probably 10 years ago that talked about how people stop discovering new music around the age of like 26, 27, which makes sense because that's also the time your brain really stops developing and stops growing. So it makes sense that you'd kind of just get locked into music. I feel like mine got extended a little longer. Like I was still discovering music into my mid to late 30s, but I think that's more because I had this like season of life where I only listened to CCM, like Christian contemporary music, and I threw away all my old CDs and stuff. And so I do feel like I was discovering music maybe later than normal, but for whatever reason over the last 5 or 6 years, I've had a hard time like really discovering or appreciating or enjoying new music. We listen to a lot, like my wife listens to a lot of the radio. So we do listen to a lot of like kind of what's culturally pop and relevant, and then listen to a whole bunch of like random kids crap that mostly my daughter wants to listen to.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm not really discovering
random kids crap.
Encanto, like all the typical stuff, like listen to Encanto
Yeah.
soundtrack for
On repeat.
a year straight,
Yeah.
which isn't crap actually. That's actually really good. Like Lin-Manuel Miranda is brilliant. So that music. We basically went from 2 years of listening to only Hamilton to then straight into a year of Encanto. So Lin-Manuel Miranda lived in our heads for 3 years.
It's like when you sleep, you can hear him talking.
Yeah, for sure.
That's funny. So on hip hop, is there anything that's currently still in your ears?
Nothing.
We're on to hip hop, Tony.
We
Dude,
did.
did you guys keep talking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't pause it?
No way, man.
Just went for
Why?
it.
Because you don't know how to edit a podcast?
No, I know how to edit, but I didn't pause it. I can edit it. I'm gonna edit your shit right out.
It's actually just he and I on the podcast.
I separated each file, so when Tony's talking, we're just gonna be like, wah, 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 wah.
Hey, dude, it was an excuse to get out of the house.
The only,
No,
the
so
only
anyways.
music I've really discovered, which isn't new, but I have discovered it in the last like year or two, is Run the Jewels. I love those guys. I think they're so good. We've talked about that offline, that you think they're a little too hard and a little too violent, but I like it. I like the questions they're asking, even if they're asking them in some hard ways.
Yeah.
I like those guys.
LP's first group was called Company Flow, and he doesn't stream the album. You have to go on YouTube. You can catch it. It's called Fun Crusher Plus. And LP was like the underground of underground. In fact, everyone was on the raucous stuff. Black Star, Talib, Mos Def back in the day. Dude, LP straight is dissing raucous in ways that I can't even say on this show. Company Foe, Fun Crusher Plus.
Okay. Love it.
I had the album Fantastic Damage.
Yep.
From him a long time ago. And even back then it was a little too rough for me. Like the actual music itself was really noisy and clangy. And I didn't understand those beats, and I still kind of don't. So I never really connected with him on his own. But I didn't hear much else other than that album. But Tony's showed me a lot of stuff recently, which was like a lot of these collabs with like DJ Muggs and what's the other one? Madlib doing beats for different rappers. And what else, Tony? You showed me so much stuff. in the last couple of years.
Well, I want to go back really, really quick because we're talking about cool. I mean, this is a dad podcast, right? After all, Generalist father. So some of the stuff that I've discovered that our family's really into is Teddy Swims, and it's more on the poppy, like soulful side. And I always say that if Teddy Swims is like my pop star alter ego, he's like my pop star spirit animal. His I think it's Tough Love EP, the one with 911 and Please Turn Green. There's a couple of swear words on there if you're a parent that's like overly concerned about that with your kids. You're gonna have to check a couple of things, but like our whole family jams out to that album and it's so dope. And then on the punk rock hardcore side, I used to be really, really into all the like metalcore and all that. I mean, I got introduced to like good Christian music in 2000. So the Solid State era with Zayo and like just, all that. But I got out of heavier music, and Turnstile is like pop hardcore, their album Glow On. My kids absolutely freaking love that album. There's some like good jams on there. It's like if hardcore was like fun and like poppy. So I thought that we would mention those: Turnstile, Glow On, and Teddy Swims Tough Love EP.
That's cool.
Dude, hip hop, where do you want me to go? Because here's what I'll say, okay? Is
Czarface, that was another one.
First of all, it's Czarface. So Czarface has figured out a very niche brand of hip hop that's really honing in on comic book references and sports in particular. And so it's Inspector Deck from the Wu-Tang Clan and Esoteric and DJ 7L, and the production is insane. It's great.
Yeah, it's really good.
One of the last things Madlib did before he passed was a Czarface versus Metalface collab, and that album is absolutely sick. So Czarface has owned, and they even like teamed up with L'Amour Supreme, and they're doing like dope illustration. It's comic book. Their last album, Zarmageddon, they released on like a freaking like old school 80s throwback, like lunchbox kind of a deal, tape cassette. Like they are like totally blending the whole like comic book hip hop thing. They got freaking invited to every Comic-Con that they can get them to, they'll bring them there.
Which album should I start with?
I would do so, dude. That's an impossible question, but I would say Czarface versus Metalface. Check the MF Doom. If you're into Doom, you have to start there. That's a great entry point. But all their stuff's really, 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 really good. And what I love is that they're one of those bands that constantly put out all the instrumentals, and I'm a huge instrumental fan. So a lot of my playlists at the office that I have for everybody, I can't be playing like some of the stuff like with the rhymes too, but like if it's just the beats, like everyone's like, yeah, these are killer vibes.
It's awesome. Yeah, and you told me about that, and you told me about DJ Muggs. Who has he been doing stuff with?
So Muggs is going to be a little bit harder to swallow. Like this is definitely like in your explicit, kind of category. I don't know what your fan base is here, dude. Like I feel bad. Nate's all talking about ethics and like all this like good stuff to learn, and I'm freaking like we're talking about DJ Muggs and like selling cocaine and like it's definitely not family friendly.
That put me off from Coca Nostra, which was like House of Pain guys and somebody else like teaming up to do this like
what I love
cocaine slanging kind of scene.
Yeah, and I'm into all of it. What is interesting is that the producers used to be kind of like in the background. You had your front dudes. So Cypress Hill is a perfect example. Not too many people know DJ Muggs, but everybody can say like, yo, I know Cypress Hill. So Muggs is the dude behind the whole, right, the beats, the like musical aesthetics of Cypress Hill. And he's kind of carried some of that dark art stuff even into like Soul Assassins and some of the stuff he's doing now. But what I love is that the DJs have figured out, dude, I'm going to gather everybody. I'm going to be the front runner. I'm going to be the name, right?
Kind of flipping.
And then they're curating the albums with all the the features and all that kind of stuff. And then they're teaming up with individual artists for just like one album instead of like making like a group or whatever. So the ones that are doing it really, really well are Muggs, Alchemist, and Madlib. Hands down.
Yeah.
Those dudes are they're from the throwback era. If you're into the boom bap and the 90s, the 2000s stuff, those dudes are there, but now they're kind of like the front runners. They're the ones who are putting people on. They're the ones that are teaming people up and all that kind of stuff. Dude, freaking Rome Streets got signed to Griselda. And before that, he did a thing with Muggs, I think called the Magician, or Two Cups of Blood. I forget what the name of the album is, but it's gritty, dude. It's New York. It's gritty. It's, if you're into that freaking, that boom bap, that throwback, Muggs is gonna scratch that itch for you. So then on to the other producers. Alchemist, I mentioned, he's in with the a lot of the Griselda dudes, but like the Boldy James and, you know, some of the, just like the who's who, you know, right now in more like the indie, the underground stuff. Dude, I need to wait to get to Madlib because his connection for me is pretty wild. Evidence was one of the MCs in Dilated Peoples, West Coast.
Is he connected
And
to
Evidence,
Idea?
I don't know.
Or
I haven't
Idea and
heard
Evidence, were
Idea
they a
on.
group?
Yeah, I haven't heard Idea on any of Evidence's new stuff because he's carved out a really cool niche of like rapping plus also producing. So Domo Genesis, who is from the Odd Future crew, once that crew kind of broke up, some of them drifted more into like more kind of poppy type stuff, but Domo Genesis slipped into that underground, that indie kind of like hip hop slop. And his new album, outros, intros, interludes, or I forget even what it's called. Evidence produced the whole thing, and it's just sick. And Evidence like has figured out this, like, Dilated Peoples was pretty hype. It was the 2000s. In fact, if I would say if there's one era of hip hop that I really, really struggle with, it's the 2000s. Like when Jay-Z was getting really, really hot, just some of the beat formulas and like the radio stuff was just like, I hated it. Like even people who I talk about Wu-Tang with, they're like, oh, Method Man and Redman, like Blackout album. I'm like, dude, like I never got into that. Like I really struggled with the production of all that kind of stuff. But Evidence has figured out like this slow flow kind of thing. And if you look at some of like Alchemist, Evidence, Madlib production, dude, it's not the heavy drum like boom bap stuff. It's really cool, dude. It's very, very, very interesting. And the formulas have changed, but it carries like some of that, still that underground, that indie kind of spirit and that vibe, and the rhymes are there. Like the lyricism is there. So if you were like really into the lyricism, instead of the more like, you know, popularly consumed type stuff, this is kind of like your stream now, you know?
Yeah.
So Evidence for sure. And then he has a Venice Beach, California connection, which is wild to me because my introduction to hip hop was Wu and 411 Volume 1 skate album. Was anybody a skater when they were younger? Remembers 411? So 411, when I was coming up, I was born in 80. So I'm in high school, you know, at, you know, 96, 95, 96. And hip hop was blending, emerging with skate culture.
Yeah, that was the best.
And in 411 Volume 1 featured a song called 93 Till Infinity by Souls of Mischief. Now, up until this point, I was told you have to pick between East and West Coast hip hop. And I thought West Coast hip hop was only Tupac, Snoop, Death Row, and all that. When I got introduced to Souls of Mischief, Del the Funky Homo Sapien, Hieroglyphics Crew, Casual, you know, like all that. Then Jurassic 5, Beat Junkies Volume 1 and 2, Alcoholics, Tash. Then you're getting into Madlib and Loot Pack and like all the West Coast, like people who really truly embraced the spirit of hip hop culture. I didn't even know that existed. And so Wu-Tang was something that just drew me in. I can't even really explain it to you. I just connected with it as a young man, and I really, really got into to that and like dove in hard, all the way up until their second album, the double disc. But
And
then diving into
pause.
go ahead.
Tony just this year, just in the last 6 months, got to go to a Wu-Tang concert. And the way he described it was, he was like, the way I described it, and he affirmed that it was correct, that he was like a little girl at a Bieber concert because he's geeking out and rapping every word.
Dude, if you know the old stuff, if you know Only Built for Cuban Links, if you know Liquid Swords, if you know, all the early solo stuff, and then the Nas connection too. The Nas connection was interesting because they started playing some of the old deep cuts that Raekwon, Ghostface, and Nas had together, even off of old Mobb Deep albums. I think the song's called Your Beef Is Mine. Eye for an Eye. Your Beef Is Mine. And it's Nas, it's Ghost, it's Ray, it's Prodigy from Mobb Deep, all that. They did all the deep cuts, dude. And I was hanging pretty decently. And it was just so much fun for me. But Wu was my entry point. And back in the day, they used to tell us you had to pick between East Coast and West Coast. Now, interesting enough, Muggs was one of the dudes who kind of bridged that gap. His first Soul Assassins album, had the likes of Scarface plus KRS-One on it. He had Wu, but he also had some of the old, the West Coast, dudes. So yeah, when I discovered the West Coast stuff, Madlib in particular, which connects to Mad Villainy by way of MF Doom and, all that, it's just, I'm more of a fan than I am anything, I'll research. It's very interesting to me. I'm trying to see who's connected, even going back to old albums. What did I miss? Kind of a thing, like Casual's Fear Not from the Hieroglyphics crew. I've been actually really diving into that album this week, and that whole Hieroglyphics crew, which, dude, I actually, Souls of Mischief just announced they're doing 93 city tour in honor of 30 years of 93 Till Infinity. And I bought my tickets for the Metro in Chicago immediately.
That's cool.
So they're coming to Chicago. If you haven't looked it up, 93 Till Infinity, Souls of Mischief, it's just one of those feel good hip hop songs. It's made its way into a ton of stuff. It's just, it's dope. It's way better than Will Smith's Summertime. I'll tell you that.
We're going to wrap it up here soon, but have you guys heard of this new kid named Joey Valance?
I thought you were going to say Joey Badass.
Or Valance? Joey Valance.
Richie Valance?
Joey Valance. Have you heard of him?
I feel
I
like
don't think so.
I feel
He's
a
a
little
kid.
bit. I feel a little bit slighted. I'm not gonna lie, because you gave Nate friggin' hour and a half and 2 hours on movies, and you just cut me off after 20 minutes of hip hop.
20 minutes of hip hop's good, dude. We're good.
No, it's
20
not.
minutes
That
straight.
was- you
I didn't
just
even
dropped-
interrupt you.
You just dropped an education.
Yeah, I was
on
waiting
us.
for the interaction, and it wasn't coming. I didn't even get to
No,
my
that's
top
just-
5, dude.
No, dude. We just
I didn't even
were
get to my
sitting-
5. I went through 4.
No, we were just sitting in a no, that was past community college. That was like state level university class on underground hip hop. And we got it and we took notes.
I have to share my last one.
We have a lot of listening to do now.
It's got the Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana connection to Madlib, which
Okay,
you should
let's do that.
be about, because you're freaking from the Oxnard area, dude. And I
And
was
he's from
saving the best
Oxnard.
for last because of your story.
Heck yeah.
I was saving the best for last.
Let's do that.
So when I started connecting with Travis, he was from the Oxnard Ventura area. And lo and behold, Madlib, the person who, I have so many connections just personally, music wise, was from the same area. And I'm like, holy crap, dude. I was just destined to be your friend and have that connection. To know that such creativity came out of the area that you lived in for a long time.
Yeah.
So how does
And now-
Oxnard, California connect to where I'm from, Northwest Indiana? So if any of you guys are friends of Freddie Gibbs is one of his nicknames
That's the one
is
you wanted you to
Kane.
mention. Freddie Gibbs, yeah.
Yeah. One of his nicknames is Kane. He's all about he's about that cocaine murder rap. That's his thing. And his cadence is very gangster, very very smooth, but very fast. And it's reminiscent of Crucial Conflict, some of the like Chicago kind of rappers. He's from Gary, Indiana, birthplace of Jackson 5. And instead of embracing that, it's kind of funny. He actually makes fun of the Jackson 5. And he's almost establishing himself as like the new face of Gary. Dude, in fact, like, dude, artists are blowing up vacant buildings with Freddie Gibbs murals. Like, it's so dope, dude. It's freaking so dope.
That's right north of you, right?
Yeah, just north of me, 15 minutes. So I went to, so it's, if you go from Gary north up by the lake shore of Lake Michigan, basically 15 minutes from Chicago, South Chicago, and you go down one community's Maryville. That's where I went to high school. You go down one community, that's Crown Point. That's where I currently live. So, Freddie Gibbs, I was not prone to being engaged with hip hop like this, but what Madlib did was he teamed up with a very unpredictable, seemingly like not congruent partner than Gibbs. And it's the most he's done. So him and MF Doom just did Mad Villainy. Gibbs and Madlib did 2 albums. The first one was Pinata and the second one was Bandana. So Gibbs was actually very much what do they call it? It's an acquired taste. But Madlib's production on Pinata and Bandana are fantastic. Fantastic. So that's the Oxnard. That's the Travis Mullen to Tony Sorsey connection. The Oxnard to Northwest
Ventura
Indiana
County
connection right there. So I had to get into that. I apologize for interrupting.
You didn't interrupt nothing. No, you just bring so much that me and Nate don't even know about, all these rappers and production.
Dude, I just added a whole bunch of stuff to my list to listen to tomorrow.
Yeah. The one that I already got into was the MF Doom one with Czarface. That was really cool. And that's called Metal Face, Czarface, Metal Face.
Czarface versus Metal Face. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see it. It's like half the faces, the Czarface character, and then Doom's mask.
Yeah, the newer guy out of Oxnard is Anderson .Paak. He became pretty big in the last few years.
Him and Gibbs have been doing some stuff together.
That's cool.
So do you know the group that Anderson .Paak was in before he blew up?
I did know, but I don't remember.
That's on
right now.
Stone's Throw. I think they're on Stone's Throw. It's called Knowledge. It's KNXWLGDGE.
Oh no, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Anderson .Paak has a feature on Bandana, the second Gibbs Madlib album.
So all that stuff where
it's called Giannis. The song's called Giannis. And dude, big shout out to Nate. There is a Killer Mike feature in the Bandana album as well. I forget the name of the song of it, or I forget the name of the title of the song. I think it's Pusha T is in that song too. Oh, dude, Pusha T. Okay, stop. So I know you can't talk about Kanye's like very polarizing or whatever, but no one can really argue with the brilliance of Kanye musically. And so Pusha T's new album, it features half production from Kanye and then half from what's the dude? Pharrell. There is a song called Scrape It Off.
Oh yeah.
And it's like the poppiest song on the album, Little Uzi Vert, and then Pusha T. Me and Anna, my Anna is my 13-year-old. She and I, the radio version, can lip sync. That's if you threw us in a party right now, if you were like cordless mic, I'm pressing play in 10 seconds, and you were like perform for 100 people, she and I would freaking rock that out, and you all would be clapping afterwards.
Love it.
It's amazing. Well, we may have to call you out, and you guys might have to actually do that for a video or something. We'll send you about $300. Make that happen from Nate.
My big non-profit salary.
Nate, can you raise money for me to do this?
Well, cool. This is a lot. We got a lot.
You got 2 episodes here, bro.
Yeah, we got to break it up into 2. But we got a lot covered as far as like sharing stuff, and I'm sure any combination of different people you could put into this conversation, you'd hear different things, but I'm sure a lot of them would be overlap on the movies and shows. But I think Tony's the only person I know that's dug that deep into that part of hip hop, because I've known a lot of hip hop, but most of it's old. And so
Big shout out to Brainwash Projects.
I know the roots of these groups, but I didn't know their newer stuff, which is really cool. Because DJ Muggs was like my favorite producer ever as a kid, because I was way into Cypress Hill. And I knew he was a producer. I knew who the people in the groups were, because I was so into
Black
them.
Sunday production it's just insane. It's next level, dude. It reminds me of Terminator 2. Like Terminator 2 somehow is like it's been able to stay relevant. Like if you catch it on TNT or like wherever, you're like, this is relevant. Like graphic wise, right? Just like level of like quality of like how they captured it, all the not CGI, but all that, it's relevant. And I feel like Black Sunday is the same way.
That's cool. So I really appreciate you guys coming on, and I think whoever our listeners are going to get an earful of plenty of things they could check out if they want, especially if they're looking for something. They definitely got a list now they could work on, because it definitely gets stale if you're not trying. And when somebody turns you on to a bunch of stuff, it's pretty fun.
Dude,
So,
in fact, I love having this conversation. Nate, I think you and I should share our Instagram handles if anyone wants to connect. So I'm at TONYSORCI, at TONYSORCI. And I'm mostly just on Instagram because I'm 42. I hate Facebook, and I just created a TikTok account.
well, how do you want to be found, Nate?
Man, I did Instagram when it was about photography, so I've kind of left Instagram a long time ago.
Nate the purist. Is anyone surprised? Nate, is anyone surprised that that's your take? I respect it though.
No, he's Twitter, man. He's all info and news.
Okay.
I'm on Twitter though. Twitter is where I do all my stuff. So at Nathan B. Hughes on Twitter. Or if you are interested in learning about soccer, it's at Soccer Neophytes. And that podcast can be found anywhere podcasts are found.
Nate, you say it with such enthusiasm and conviction. If you're an American that is actually interested in soccer.
Totally.
My podcast can be found at rushjohnsonsucks.com. That's rushjohnsonsucks.com.
No, that's a big part of Tony's role in my life has been the Larkcast, which is the Larkcast, and larksite.com. And it's made an impact in my life for like 4 years now. And it's changed my life and given me a lot more peace in the good news of God.
Love it.
So thank you guys so much for being on here, and thank you for sharing. And I hope this is cool for a bunch of other dudes and ladies. I know some ladies are listening too. they're liking everything, and so I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this is not just for dads. So we'll see how that goes. But anyways, thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Trav.
Love you. Peace out.
Yep. Nate, great meeting you, man.
Nice to meet you too, Tony.
Yep. Cheers.
Later.
Adios, amigos.